Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a zombie horror film, Deadheads. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A man named Mike stumbles while walking out of a dark laboratory facility. He pulls a tube connected to his wrist and blood gushes everywhere. Outside, he sees an abandoned truck and a police car, both covered in blood. He also sees a bullet hole in his hand and covers it with a bandage. Upon hearing a noise, he turns around and spots a zombie walking about. He calls its attention, but the zombie only walks away. Mike follows the zombie to a cabin in the forest. He knocks on the door, but gets no response. Suddenly, a shot is fired through the door, hitting Mike and knocking him back. Another shot is fired but misses Mike. He runs away just as more zombies arrive. Inside the cabin, an old man boards up the door. His granddaughter tends to his grandson, who has been bitten by a zombie. Suddenly, a zombie gets inside the house and charges at them. Thomas, an ex-convict hiding with the family, manages to shoot the zombie's head off. Meanwhile, Mike runs into a group of zombies feasting on a corpse, but they pay him no mind. He slowly walks away, but bumps into Brent, another zombie like him that can talk and act normally. They both panic at first, but eventually calm down and talk. Brent grabs a hormone-let-go hand from the corpse that the zombies are eating, but returns only to find Mike missing. Mike runs away and finds a payphone outside a nearby motel. He calls the police to ask for help, but gets laughed off. Brent shows up and ends the call for Mike. He tells Mike that no one is going to help them because they are zombies. Mike denies that they are zombies. Brent tries to offer Mike the severed hand, both as a meal and as a symbolic hand in friendship, but Mike pushes Brent away. Brent slaps Mike with the severed hand. They end up fighting on the ground. While fighting, Brent accidentally pulls Mike's arm off his shoulder. Mike finally recognizes that he is indeed a zombie. The two enter a bar nearby while hiding their identity. They sit at a table and order. Mike finds a newspaper and realizes that he has been dead for 3 years. He looks through his pockets and finds an engagement ring. He suddenly remembers that he had a girlfriend named Ellie whom he was about to propose to. However, Brent tells him that Ellie has probably moved on. Mike is heartbroken as he now has no purpose for living. Nevertheless, Brent convinces him to at least tell Ellie that he still loves her, so they decide to go to Michigan, Ellie's home state. Before they can leave the bar, the family from the cabin enter through the door. However, the grandson turns into a zombie and bites his sister. Thomas is forced to shoot both the boy and his sister. Everyone helps barricade the doors and windows. Mike nails his hand to the board while pretending to help. Another kid walks up and tries to tell everyone that Brent is a zombie, but Brent knocks him out with a wooden plank. Thomas asks Brent what happened. He sees Mike removing the boards from the wall and raises his gun. Mike falls down and accidentally leaves his arm on the wall, so Brent tackles Thomas. Thomas pushes Brent, who falls onto a wooden stake. Brent stands back up, but everyone is pointing their guns at them now. Mike tells Thomas that they don't want to hurt anyone. Suddenly, the door breaks and zombies enter. The zombies also break the windows and begin pulling Brent, Mike, and even Mike's arm out of the bar. Mike reattaches his arm and they walk away. Meanwhile, a zombie in an overcoat follows them. Morning arrives and only Thomas survives the attack on the bar. Private soldiers with hazmat suits arrive and point guns at Thomas. Meanwhile, Mike wakes up after falling asleep on his own arm. He sees Brent sleeping beside him and Charles, Ellie's father. But Charles shoots Mike in the head, causing him to wake up and realize that it was only a dream. He sees the zombie in an overcoat trying to eat a severed hand. Brent stops the zombie and calls him over. He introduces the zombie as Cheese, his new pet zombie. Brent eventually convinces Mike to take Cheese with them. However, Cheese suddenly gets hit by a passing truck. Upon seeing Cheese get back up, the truck driver reverses and offers the three a free ride. At the same time, the bar is filled with soldiers in hazmat suits. Charles arrives and expresses his disappointment in the zombies. It is revealed that the zombies are the results of experiments done to create a private army for Charles. Thomas is brought to Charles, but Charles tells his soldiers to kill him. However, Thomas knocks the gun out of the soldier's hands. He catches the gun and shoots the zombie standing behind Charles. Amazed by Thomas' talent, Charles orders Thomas to capture Mike in exchange for money and freedom. Thomas arms himself and drives off in a van to complete the mission. Meanwhile, Mike and the two ride with an old man to Michigan. They laugh and joke around during the trip, but encounter an unexpected checkpoint manned by two of Charles' henchmen. They stop their car and tell them that they might have been exposed to a chemical leak and would need to stay. However, the old man insists that they are in a hurry. The mustached henchman threatens to shoot them. Since the old man is a former Marine, he easily grabs the barrel of his gun and slams him into the car. They drive away in a hurry. Mike falls asleep and later wakes up to find Ellie beside him, dressed in a wedding gown. However, Ellie appears to be a zombie herself. She notices Mike bleeding from the chest and plunges her hand into the wound. She pulls out his heart and takes a bite, but luckily spares his smelly sausage. Mike wakes up and screams, causing the car to swerve. They run out of gas and are forced to camp in the forest nearby. Brent overhears wolves howling and starts getting uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the old man's car is noticed by a passing policeman. He enters the forest to investigate. Mike shows the old man the ring he plans to give Ellie and a letter to tell her that he loves her. But the old man tells Mike to forget the letter and tell Ellie directly that he loves her. When Brent finishes peeing in the forest, his smelly sausage accidentally gets caught on the zipper and falls off. He laughs and picks it up to show to Cheese, but finds only the policeman behind him. When Brent raises his hands to surrender, the policeman sees Brent's severed sausage in his hands. Brent tries to explain, but the cop suddenly shoots him in his big chest, not in the tiny sausage. Brent is unhurt, but gets angry by that. Cheese appears out of nowhere and bites the policeman. This causes Brent to panic and run back to camp. There he tells Mike that they have to leave. He rushes back to the car and steals gasoline from the empty police car. Mike and the old man both return to the car and ask Brent what happened. Brent tries to dismiss them, but Mike sees Cheese wearing the cop's hat. He decides to quickly take off. A few hours later, Thomas and the two henchmen pass by the police car. They are in the forest looking for clues when the mustached henchman gets attacked by the cop, who has now turned into a zombie. Thomas saves the man and cuts the zombie's head off with an axe. Meanwhile, Charles' secretary oversees an experiment in a lab. The attending doctor injects a purple liquid into a severed dead human torso, and it comes back to life. Like Mike, this newly created zombie can speak normally. However, it quickly panics upon realizing that its legs are missing. The doctor immediately shoots it to put it out of its misery. That night, Mike and the group stop to watch a Daniel CC movie at a drive-in cinema. Brent leaves to get snacks while the old man pees his stinky water. On the way to the store, Brent is almost run over by a van. However, he does not realize that inside the van are Thomas and the two henchmen. He continues to the store and buys food. When the cashier asks him what happened to him, he lies and tells him that he looks like this because of unprotected sex. He exits the store and runs into the mustached henchman, who is pointing a gun at him. Cheese spots Brent in danger from the car and goes to him. Mike chases him, but runs into Thomas and the henchman. Cheese tries to attack them, but Mike stops him. Mike is given handcuffs and is told to restrain Cheese. Mike tries to reason with Thomas, but Thomas merely shoots him in the leg. This causes Cheese to break free of his handcuffs and attack them. Meanwhile, Brent is thrown into the back of the van. The mustached henchman leaves the van, but immediately gets knocked out by the old man. They drive over to Mike and Cheese, who are busy fighting. Thomas manages to cut Cheese's greasy stomach open, but Cheese successfully overpowers him. Mike and Cheese run to the van. The old man starts driving away, but Mike notices his engagement ring on the ground. He jumps off the van and picks up the ring. He runs after the van, but is too slow. So Brent takes Cheese's scattered intestines and uses them as a rope to pull Mike back into the van. They leave and head to Michigan Lake, where the old man plans to spread his wife's ashes. However, he has run out of medicine for his heart. Mike later wakes up and spots the old man sitting on a bench by the lake with his wife's ashes. Unfortunately, the old man has passed away. While they all mourn the old man's death, Mike takes the wife's ashes and scatters them into the lake for him. They continue on their journey and reach Mike's old house. Mike suddenly remembers that Ellie broke up with him through a letter and that her father had actually killed him, like in his dream. He looks around and finds an invitation to a reunion that Ellie might attend. Outside, Thomas and his company show up. Brent spots them and they try to exit the house. However, the mustached henchman gets spotted opening the door and gets shot through the door. They continue running away and climb out through a window. They head to the reunion, but Brent reminds Mike that Ellie's father killed him and that Ellie will not love him since he is a zombie now. But Mike insists on meeting Ellie. The three split their ways, with Cheese going with Brent. Mike arrives later and confirms that Ellie is indeed at the reunion. He enters the gym and meets an old friend. Suddenly, Mike spots Ellie from across the room. He quickly chases after her. However, he chickens out and quickly hides behind a flower vase. Meanwhile, Brent and Cheese see the mustached henchman's van outside. They hide and follow the van from a distance. However, Brent gets caught by the henchman. Mike runs into a bathroom where he sees the school mascot. He steals the costume and approaches Ellie. Ellie gets startled by the costume, causing Mike to stumble down. She asks Mike to remove the helmet, but he refuses. Mike falsely introduces himself as John. Music starts playing, and Ellie invites Mike to dance. Mike asks her if she has run into any old boyfriends. Ellie replies that she hasn't, since the only ex she had isn't there. When Mike tells her that he misses the past and how things used to be, she tells him that he has to chase after what he wants. While Ellie's back is turned, Mike finally removes his helmet. However, Thomas appears and drags him away at gunpoint. When Ellie turns around, she is sad to find that she is alone. Both Mike and Brent are restrained and thrown onto the ground. Brent provokes the mustached henchman, who gives in and raises his gun to shoot. Fortunately, Cheese appears and throws the henchman to the side. While Cheese fights with Thomas, the henchman runs back into the car to hide. Cheese punches through the window and pulls him out. Cheese once more overpowers Thomas and gets ready to bite his smelly part. When Mike and Brent tell him to stop, Cheese replies with no. They celebrate Cheese's first words, but the mustached henchman shows up and shoots Cheese in the head. Cheese dies as his friends helplessly watch. Mike and Brent are dragged away and locked in the van. The following morning, the van door opens, revealing Charles standing outside. Mike asks Charles why he would take away his daughter's happiness by killing her boyfriend. Charles tells him that Ellie deserves better and Mike has nothing to offer his daughter. He reads back Ellie's breakup letter to him to remind him that Ellie doesn't even love him anymore. Charles leaves, saying that he will see them in the lab to conduct more experiments. Thomas hands in his guns and collects his payment. He notices Mike's engagement ring on the ground and decides to help him. He wears a hazmat suit to disguise himself and knocks out the driver. He gives Mike the ring and drives away with Mike and Brent. He asks Mike where Ellie lives, but Mike has given up on her. Brent tells Mike he has to at least give her the ring. This convinces Mike to see Ellie again. However, the van is soon cut off by the other soldiers. Thomas gets out of the van alone, revealing that Brent and Mike are traveling to Ellie's house on a bike. They arrive at the house, and Mike thanks Brent for his help. They shake hands, but Brent is suddenly hit by a van. The mustached henchman gets out of the car with a shotgun, and Mike runs into the house. He shoots and hits Mike's leg. Mike falls and tries to crawl to the house. The henchman catches up to him and gets ready to shoot, but Brent appears and hits him with his severed leg. The henchman is knocked out, and the two boys walk to the house and ring the doorbell. More vans appear outside, but Ellie answers the door just in time. Charles arrives and tries to pull Ellie away, but Mike begs him for just a minute to talk with her. Mike starts reading his letter, but stops and throws the letter away. He tells her that Charles killed him and turned him into a zombie. He finally tells her that he just had to see her one last time and that he still loves her. He gives her the ring and says goodbye. Then he walks back to the van, but Ellie runs to him. She tells him that she loves him too. Mike kisses her without using his zombified tongue. Brent gets everybody to clap, while Mike and Ellie start their future together with another zombified kiss. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.